Welcome to the podcast, ASD Shine Bright. My name is Corey Young. I'm here at Bartlett High School, home of the Golden Bears. I'm here with Miss Tenesha Willams. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How
Awesome.
are you?
Doing awesome. You wear a lot of different hats. We're having a lot of different roles. Kind of tell me your different titles here.
Okay, so as of October, I am the Migrant Education Student Success Coach. And then I also, since 2018, I've been running the Career Resource Center here at Bartlett. And then I'm also the varsity cheer coach for football and basketball.
Wow, a lot of different hats, a lot of different roles. You were definitely a Golden Bear through and through.
Yes.
Let's first talk about the first job as a migrant education success coach. What do you do? What is that role and what does it entail?
So I work with the migrant students, those who either fish commercially or berry pick. And we work with those students with career and resource, which is something that I've done for a while. But anything like tutoring, or if they just need someone to talk to, I have snacks in my office. We provide literacy events. We're actually doing one for East Side schools here at the end of the month, and because literacy is a big thing for them. And so we just try to give them another avenue, another person, another resource for all kinds of things. They need winter wear, stuff like that. So.
Wow, so it's all about success and making sure they're successful in order to do the things they need to do in order to graduate.
To graduate, and that's the end goal.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So tell me a lot about here. We're in the room. I see every type of university kind of represented, maybe not all of them, but quite a few. This is the room, and kind of talk about what you do to help students here at Bartlett. So
just a little bit of background. So when I went to school, it was sign on the dotted line promissory notes, and you're going to have loans to pay for school, right? But when my sisters went through, they're Bartlett Bears as well, watching my mom do the process of scholarships and making sure they didn't have a whole bunch of loans when they graduate really opened my eyes to the process. So my goal is to make sure that they go to school as debt-free as possible. And it doesn't even have to be school. I do interview skills, how to make an appointment with a doctor, just soft skills, social skills that they need to have in the real world as an adult. So it's a broad range of what we do in here. College is normally the focus, but I also want to branch out and make sure that they are interview ready for just jobs. However, funding of what they want to do, if they want to be an entrepreneur, if they want to do different things. So college may not be for everybody, but I always want them to know that it is an option. I think students think that they can't go because they can't afford it. And I try to make sure and then say, hey, there are options for you to go. You just have to know where your resources are and what you need to do to get there.
That's good. I would agree. I just am astonished sometimes when you think about it. There's scholarships for every type of person, every type of field.
Yes.
Depending on the neighborhood you live in, depending on the field, there's always money, and it's not just for paying for tuition. It's for room and board, it's for books, it's for just living expenses, and so there is options, and so that is something that I was kind of astonished by. It's just that people just have to seek it out.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And so and then getting them in here, right? Like, this is the push right now. Seniors have senioritis, and now they're in this panic mode of, oh my God, I'm going to school. How am I going to pay for it? Like, what am I going to do? How do I get my transcripts? How do I, sign up for SAT and ACT? So once I got in this job, my main focus was to start with freshmen and planting that seed so that they're not just last minute senior year, like, oh, I want to go to school. Making sure that they know they can start applying for scholarships their freshman year. There are scholarships throughout all kinds of things. So just knowing that they don't have to wait till their senior year, that they can start building their portfolio or building their, college portfolio now instead of waiting until their senior year.
So, we anybody watching in the district, parent, student, you would recommend that they would go like to their counselor, to the school?
I would start with the counselor and say, so like we have APS, and if that is something, the Alaska Performance Scholarship, and if that's something you are wanting to do, start talking with your counselor so you make sure you're taking the classes to get that scholarship, because there are requirements for scholarships. So you can't just take all your classes and then at the last minute, because then it's like, oh, well, you didn't take this, this, and this, and then you don't have the recommendation to get that scholarship. So that's one thing on why I say start early. So I've noticed a lot of West Coast schools, particularly we're in WUI territory.
Yeah.
So
and WUI, I know what WUI is, but what's WUI?
WUI is the Western Undergrad Exchange, where students all the way up through Colorado can go to school at certain colleges and have a tuition that's less than out of state, or out of state tuition. So they play somewhere in the middle between out of state and in-state.
Makes it affordable, so like you can go to the same, almost similar to the tuition you have in Alaska.
Right.
Gives you a chance to go outside, maybe pursue a degree that's not offered here.
Right.
So options.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what I've been noticing is that a lot of schools on the West Coast, or some schools, popular schools that students are looking at, they want a CTE class and they want fine arts and they want you to have 2 years of a language. Well, if you haven't already started preparing for that and you want to go to the school, let's say you start looking your junior year, the second semester of your junior year, you can't get your 2 languages yet unless you do summer school. So I want them to be prepared and start looking at their school so that they know what they need to do, and it's not this bum rush at the end, and they're scrambling to get classes they may need, or their dreams of going to a certain school are kind of not there anymore because they didn't meet the requirements starting their freshman year or their sophomore year.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's interesting you were talking about also like interview ready, resume ready. I remember once I had a friend that works in HR, and what they told me is that they get some really interesting resumes. One person, I'm not making this up, actually wrote the resume out in Crown. It was unique, but it wasn't going to get them the job. Like, it didn't even get them the interview. And so that's like skill sets I feel like it's important for anybody, but particularly for students, because you will interview for college stuff, you'll interview for jobs.
Right.
It's not something you take for granted. Internships,
fellowships,
everything. So so what are some of the things you do to help kids? Like, obviously it incorporates a lot of stuff they're learning in school about writing.
Yes. So that's interesting that you said that, because working with a couple students, especially, even the AP students, who you think should know all of the information, looking at over their stuff and them scribbling it out or marking it out. And I'm like, this is a application that's going to either a college or a scholarship. Very rare do you come across written applications, but we do have a few. And I'm like, you can't scribble out, you got to redo it. You got to get a new application and rewrite all of that. So, or no whiteout. Like, this is something that is going to be seen by whatever board, and it looks sloppy. So just teaching them that their penmanship matters, that what their resume looks like matters, how they articulate in their resume matters. And it doesn't have to be, this English professor resume, but you still need to use correct English. You can't talk like you text, because we come across that a lot, because they text so much. They tend to talk or write as if they're texting. So just making sure that they're, the 2 is a 2 and not the number 2, and, those kinds of things.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Yeah.
Like, we do live in a different age.
Yes.
You can't use text, ladies and gentlemen.
No text jargon.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, there was the documentary, True Colors, that was done on Bartlett. Really well done. If you guys haven't seen it, I recommend that you do see it. Featured, obviously, 2 students, Umi and Nico. But you were featured in there as well. And what really stood out to me in that documentary is basically just the relationships you had, not just with Umi, but with students. Like, you took Umi to a college visit.
I did.
That's awesome. And I know there's awesome educators. I'm a ASD alumni myself, and I can tell you many teachers from East and Clark, Trinity Optional and Fairview that literally helped shape some of the things that I've done to this day. what is that? Obviously you're also the cheer, football, and basketball coach.
Yes.
I've seen you guys on Instagram. Really good stuff as you post stuff there. But tell me, how did the relationships help you? Helping students become better versions of themselves, not just in school, that's important, but also for like life and beyond when they're done here at Bartlett.
Yeah. So my goal for them is to take away life experiences that are just not surrounded by school and not just surrounded by a sport. That making them an overall person, and teaching them the skills to go beyond what they're doing now, and making sure that they know that they can achieve whatever they want to achieve. Like we were talking yesterday and they were like, oh, well, senior year cheer is done for me. And I'm like, well, why does it have to be done? Like, if you want to go to college and cheer, you tell me and I will make it happen. Like, there are things that we can put in place for you to do. But I also want to make sure they understand that they are a student athlete, and I harp big on that, and that they are to make sure they have their grades, because their goal is to graduate, not to cheer. It's to be a production or a member of society that's producing whatever that looks like. So I just love making relationships with them. If you told me, I cheered when I was younger, cheered in high school, and if you would have told me I would have been a coach, I would have said no way. But I do enjoy it. I love that they love coming to practice. I love that they have a sisterhood and that they get along. And that was a big thing for me taking over a varsity team, is that we want to make sure that we all are getting along. I understand that everybody's not going to like everybody. Between my JV and my varsity, I have 41 girls. So everyone's not going to like each other. That's life. And I tell them that. But you will respect each other on this mat, and you will respect each other in the school. And that's kind of my main goal, and that they're just having fun and making memories to look back on.
I love it. One thing too, true colors, but obviously our district is very diverse.
Right.
Diversity.
Yes.
We have people literally that represent all parts of the world.
Yeah.
And that's amazing to me, because it helps you, even when I was in school here and I would go off to college, I do remember having those experiences and dealing, it didn't bother me when I saw people from different parts of the world, because I was just used to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So can you talk a little bit about that, the diversity here at Bartlett? Like in your cheer squad, I noticed that, you have young ladies that represent all over.
Yeah.
And like you said, I like the whole idea, what you talked about of respect, unity, and you can tell, I couldn't tell in the video. Maybe because the cameras were filming, they looked like they were a bunch of sisters that were just having a good time, and that's what it's all about. But can you kind of talk about that?
So diversity is a big thing. I think that's why I really enjoy working at Bartlett. This is my 9th school year. So it really feels like, Bartlett looks like what America looks like, right? We have a melting pot in this school. There is a little bit of everybody, religions, faiths, ethnicities, races. And if you look, everyone kind of gets along. Everybody understands what that means. It's always really important for me to make sure that every ethnicity, race, religion, to my ability, is represented. So I make sure all the girls are good. If we're doing a certain thing, like, is everybody okay with this? Making sure that everyone is represented at the same time, so no one feels like there is one over the other. Diversity is important. Like the documentary said, we're the 3rd most diverse school in the nation. We have the top 3 diverse schools in the nation right here in this one state. So me and Umi were actually talking about this, and it's preparing them for the world, because if you see one thing, that's not reality, that's not the world. So Bartlett is not only preparing them academically, but we're also preparing them for a reality that is diversity, because you're going to run into people who are not like you, who do not think like you, that may not look like you. So you need to be able to be respectful in that sense and come forward with kindness, even if you disagree, but still understanding that there should be a respect there.
That's good.
Yeah.
Last question for you.
Yeah.
In our conversation here, obviously you've been here 9 years. It sounds like you want to be here to the end of time. What's a message you say out there for people in the district, for anybody watching, about like why you love education and why and it's important to plant positive seeds of success in every single student in this district?
Yes. I think going forth is just, if it's just one student, sometimes we get discouraged because they're not coming to the FAFSA nights or they're not coming to the college visits and you don't see them. But if I'm just touching one student, I know that I'm making a difference, because they might be breaking a generational curse in their household. And so, and planting that seed for their generations and their children, or, in their family or their siblings and that kind of thing. So just making sure that they know that they are able to do it, that whatever their circumstances, we understand, because most of us, or some of us, have had the same circumstance, and that they are able to put forth whatever they want to, as long as they're willing to put in that effort and willing to work their resources. I'm a big person on resources. Like, there are so many resources in this school, outside of teachers, outside of support staff like myself, our office staff. There is somebody there that is willing to help you. And I think that's the most important thing, just finding that person and making sure those resources are worked so you can be the best person that you can be.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome interview. We're here at Bartlett High School, home of the Golden Bears. Miss Tenesha Willams, woman of many roles and many skill sets, and obviously the ultimate cheerleader for all the students.
Absolutely.
So that's it for ASD Shine Bright. Please make sure you watch us on YouTube, on ASD, and also on Spotify and Apple Music. Until next time.
And as always, go Bears.